formally welcome all of us to this meeting, a very emergency meeting. And from what is on ground, you can see it's a very important one. 4 ministers sitting here to coordinate this meeting. Heads of the palaces are also here. So Osipo and his brother are coming into what he didn't know. Of course, they say injury to one is also injury to all, but us to inquire on what is happening between us and JOHESU. General Secretary is Latin, you know. So, but we take it that JOHESU has for some time now talking to Minister of Health on these matters, and that is why we have given them the opportunity to go and resolve the issues. So suddenly I had something completely different involving the 2 palaces, and I thought I'm not going to that level. I thought I should just call all of us here to tell us to please let us know what is happening. Listen and see how in this issue. Suddenly I got something different. I don't know where to start from you or from
Minister of the Economy, Minister of Finance, my colleague, Minister of State for Health, comrades, President, Secretary, NLC, comrades, JOHESU. I don't know whether I'm allowed to call you comrade to address you. It's around, okay. Because after this job, who knows, it looks like I may actually jump to be a comrade myself. Because it's a very nice place to be, but also with the permanent secretaries and directors here. I hope that this meeting will be quite productive, efficient. You have made several efforts to ensure that the peace that we have so far enjoyed in the health sector is maintained through engagement with different actors, I think since August. And when we convoked the CBA and agreed that it should be separate because the CBA is separate for each of the entities. And certain commitments have been met which were fulfilled in terms of some of the grievances as of August. But late last year, as you know, additional issues were raised, particularly one issue which JOHESU had raised. But it was a surprise to us because we had the CBA that was ongoing. And that led to this dispute, which has lingered on. But at the end of the day, in January, 3 weeks ago, we spent time with the 2 mother bodies and JOHESU. Very constructive discussion, and I want to thank both the TUC and LLC and the leadership, as well as the CSU leadership, because we all lean in saying that so long as we keep the Nigerian person at the center of attention, any issue is resolved between us, and that we would lean in to see how we find common ground, especially given that there's a CBA on the way. At that meeting, we did accept that there were certain things that we would do. That the things like no pay policy, which wasn't done late last year because of Christmas and other things. But it was excellent policy that this is something administratively, basically, to ensure that that is not in effect, that JOHESU will consider and they will discuss coming back to the table so that the CBA that we had can proceed, but within that, any perceived iniquities that they had since 2000 and the last CBA that they had with government will be addressed before any new additional consideration is provided. And that is where we left it. I think there have been several
continue to dialogue on this. We are still very much inclined and would hope that our colleagues would look at that carefully so that we don't introduce something that will become disruptive and that the CBA process will be allowed to run and be concluded within a time frame so that it's not a never-ending process, because the job evaluation, I think, salary income wages was going to conclude it, and then the CBA, which were acted and you're chairing that, which will be done separately, because government's discussion should not interject into the Congress discussion, because separate the product of CBS. Congress was the product adjustment last increase was a product of CBA, so that that was the point that colleagues in JOHESU actually raised, so that it's not it's not one conversation, and that we do it and conclude by May. That's our expectation, as a way that we can deal with both the salary, but also any additional consideration of allowances through the CBA. That meeting, I believe the Chairman of Salaries Income has confirmed experiences with other sectors where the CBA provided significant increments, a pathway to significant enhancements. So that's the most constructive path forward. So we are hopeful that the leadership of the two mother bodies, but especially the JOHESU leadership, would consider this offer on the table so that we achieve a resolution that will be first in the best interest of Nigerians and all of us, because the interim Nigerians have suffered. So personally, Chairman Salaries Income and Wages Commission is not here because he is going to, you're representing, but because he's going to a hospital to get his knee checked. Sorry, he sort of hit it, but see the implications of this. So I hope that in that spirit we'll find a common ground. But I think that's where we are. That's what we were. But now it's with you. Maybe you hear from others.
If that is the case, I think we are making some progress, and what remains is for us to hear from the other side. How far are we going?
I know we're keeping the meeting short, but I see that I'm that's Honourable Minister for Labour and Employment, Honourable Minister for Health and Community and Social Welfare, Honourable Minister for State Health, union leaders and comrades, so all the participants at this all important meeting, just to say, Jojo is better than Woman. Let us invite the spirit under the umbrella as suggested of the CBA to resolve our issues. We are lucky that our brother has gone to be attended to, but I know stories of people who were not attended to and it cost them. So it's a very serious matter. The health sector is not only huge in terms of its contribution to GDP, its contribution to activity, its multiplying effect, but of course, it is the humanity that binds us all together that is manifested most through the health sector. So let us not take it lightly. Let us make the most of this opportunity. We have done so well so far in this country. If you just look at the recent, I know we want to drill down and not concentrate so much on metrics, but they do matter. They do help us. Look at the positivity around the globe for what Nigeria has struggled to put in place, the path that we are on. And the key part of it is what we are just discussing here today. If it goes wrong, we will just, instead of inching forward steadily and confidently, you start to regress, which we don't hope to see. So I just wanted to appeal that no matter how short the time we spend together here, let us be aware of the weightiness of what we are going to decide here today. Thank you.
For employment, Honorable Minister of Health and Social, Honorable Minister for Social Welfare, Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister of Economy, Honorable Minister of State Health, the Deputy President, NLC, Secretary General of TUC, Secretary General of NLC, Chairman JOHESU, President Nigerian Medical and Health Union, and also all the comrades here present. Say good evening to us and directors, permanent secretaries, and all the government officials that are here. I say good evening to every one of us. Yes, so from our side, we'll be allowing the chairman of JOHESU to give an update on where we are today. But invariably, one of the things that, we had a meeting about 3 weeks ago or thereabouts. We were relatively positive that we may be a bit closer to closing this particular subject. In fact, in that meeting, both NLC and TUC were adequately represented, so we had 2 engagements. But I think the greatest part of this entire conversation is bordering on trust. On trust. And trust and justice. Yes, trust and justice actually. Trust in the sense that, from the Honorable Minister's side, okay, let's go back, we go back, the CBA, we discuss it within that context. But from our own side as well, we also had some fears that there is an agreement that has been reached in 2021, and there was a communication from even the Ministry of Health sent to Budget Office for them to giving them 2 options and implementing, any of those options, but at the end, it wasn't done. So the challenge that is there is actually trust. The foundation of us resolving these subjects today, Honorable Minister, because we've been talking, engaging both parties, is actually how do we reduce that trust deficit so that both sides will have that, we increase that level of deliverability. But we will allow the JOHESU chairman to give us a quick rundown. Thank you, Chair.
Member and Chairman of the meeting, the Honorable Minister of Health, Honorable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Minister of State for Health, the President of NLC and TUC, other comrades here present, and top government officials, good evening. Permit me, sir, to stand on the existing protocol. I think the President has said it all, and the Honorable Minister have set the background of where we started and where we are today. This, our demand, is not new to Federal Ministry of Labor, and it's not new to Federal Ministry of Health, because it's a demand that's just for over a decade, for over 10 years, which is issue of finance adjustment. And what triggered the issue now is this issue of CBA, because this CBA is basically based on allowances to us. And if allowances is going to be reviewed, then obviously it has to touch the issue of basic salary. And commerce salary was adjusted 3 times without adjusting finance. So if we allow this CBA to continue after the job evaluation for allowances, there will be 3 steps backward. So this is the main agitation of our membership. And it went to the extent that after the intervention of the 2 labor centers, we reached out to our expanded National Executive Council members, and we come up with a proposal that we think we can bring an end to this impasse. But unfortunately, the Federal Ministry of Health also brings about its own counter proposal. And when we return it back to the expanded National Executive Council, they rejected it. So I think this is what warrants the situation we are today. The industrial action is about 83 days today which I think is not healthy for this country and for all the masses in this country. So permit me, sir, to call on the National Secretary to briefly take us through the proposal from our own side and the proposal from the Federal Ministry of Health, because I believe it will guide us to know where we are and what brings about the disparity as at now. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Yeah, it's so.
Honorable Minister, please permit me to stand up because that will enable me to. Thank you so much. The Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment, who's the Constitutional General of the Federation, the Honorable Coordinating Minister of Health, the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, and the Honorable Minister of State for Health, our leaders, the President of the TUC, the Deputy President of the NLC, the Secretary General of TUC, Acting General Secretary of NLC, our National Chairman JOHESU, and other leaders here present, all the directors and other heads of MDAs that are here. So we are gathered here today to see to how to bring to an end the trade dispute in the health sector with respect to the joint sectoral union and the federal government, which is about 83 days today. The last meeting we had at the Federal Ministry of Health, which is aimed at settling this matter, was on the 20th of January 2026. Of course, we have had 2 previous meetings before then. And at this meeting, we had the presence of the leadership of the NSC and the TUC. And we were properly guided on how we're going to resolve this. One of the cardinal points of this dispute, in terms of how to resolve it, is the implementation of the report on consolidated salary structure, which was the report that was concluded since December 2021 and communicated to the office of the Budget Office of the Federation on the 5th of June 2023 for implementation. And of course, I want to give this background also that on that same day, the leadership of the Joint Sector Union JOHESU met with Mr. President Asoro on this matter. And on that same day, the President promised to address this issue when the cabinet is constituted. And since then, we followed up through various correspondences. And I know the Honorable Minister of Finance also had done a lot on this matter. And precisely on the 13th of November 2025, the Honorable Minister of Finance did a lot of engagement on this matter at a meeting we had at the Federal Ministry of Labour. And, Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. And so I want to commend you on this intervention we did that. But so what happened that day was what triggered the strike, the second day, because we were to resume 4 p.m. that day so that we can get this issue sorted out. Because we have affirmed severally that this matter does not need negotiation. Because negotiations have previously taken place, a committee referred to as high-level body committee had been constituted by government, chaired by the Chairman Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, and the report had been presented to the Presidential Committee on Salary through the Budget Office of the Federation. And so, all that we need is that the recommendation in this report should be implemented. So, on that 13th November, we were to reconvene 4 p.m. so that the necessary procedures will be followed to ensure the implementation of this. But that day when we reconvened, we didn't get satisfactory response with which to implement this report. And so when we go back to our expiring National Executive Council meeting, the NEC has to affirm that we should embark on this strike. So, sir, fast forwarding, sir, we came together on the 20th of January 2026, and we presented this position clearly that we need adoption and implementation of the report of technical subcommittee of high-level body committee chaired by the Chairman Salaries and Wages Commission on the adjustment of consolidated salary structure, which was adjusted on the basis that there was a violation of the collective bargaining agreement of 2009 on the 2nd of January 2014 with respect to the adjustment of consolidated medical salary structure. Because in the implementation guidelines of the CBO of 2009, it's clearly stated that these salary structures in the health sector shall be adjusted simultaneously. But so we asked for that it should be implemented. And that was the only point we stood on. But other adjoining items were just to reinforce how this implementation will take place, and that there should not be any discrimination whatsoever for workers, health workers under the consolidated health salary structure. But the counter proposal we got from the Federal Minister of Health that day was that the status quo should be maintained to enable National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission carry out planned job evaluation to determine placement of all professionals within 6 months starting from November 2025. Any adjustment will be accommodated when CBA resumes. Of course, when we were here for the CBA negotiation, which we emphasized that the last CBA we had was in 2009. So the new CBA is to renegotiate what we have in 2009, which is on the basis of allowances. And so we said for since allowances derive its composition and power from the basic salary, justice demand that JOHESU consolidated health salary structure should be adjusted as the report has been presented, so the report should be implemented, so that we can have a fair basis to negotiate this allowance. And I think that is the position of the law. We are not debating anything, but we are looking at it from the point of the adjustment that was done in 2014, a violation of the CBA of 2009. And finally, sir, collective bargaining agreement derives power from international labor standards. MOU is not powerful than CBA. So we must do everything possible to redress this so that it will be seen as implementing those standards that has to do with labor and management. So on this note, sir, I want to rest. I don't want to bore you with other items because they are parts of those items that are linked to the first item. Thank you so much.
Stand on the existing protocol. While I want to read at the back of the TUC president, who said, with order of sincerity of purpose, collective bargaining agreement between employer and employees should not be dropped under the carpet. The union will not benefit in calling out our members for strike. But we are not strike mongers. If the management do the right thing at the right time, it's better for this country. And it has to do with welfare of the workers, where the management failed to recognize the agreement. Because in the past 3 months, strike has been on good. and it's not good for this country. And it's not good for the workers that have contributed immensely to the growth of health sectors. So what we are doing today is a solidarity from the Federal Congress and TUC. For either way, should where you want, it is. So what I see the Minister of Finance, I believe this country is going to mention today. But he holds the key, he holds everything. And I want to thank the Honorable Minister for bringing the seat of power, the people that are running the economy, the people that are making it to work. Because they are only used here to come and resolve issues that has to do with the labor. But Uncle Wale is the key. The whole this matter we are discussing with our Honorable Minister of Finance. So we don't benefit from strike. Rather, they give us much energy. Before you can pull out your workers, you are going to do extra mile. Bring them out again is another extra mile. So we are not strike mongers. This matter should be resolved today. But we cannot afford another strike on this land. Since the technical committee have done their job, what remains is to give an speaker as approval and let everybody have thank you, sir.
Making progress, and what I seem to understand is that what you are proposing is what they are also adopting. That we can go back to CBA. The question of sincerity or trust does not arise here, because the people you see here, I think they are the ones who are to be held accountable. And that's why I endeavor to bring them here, so that they get committed to everything that we are doing here, and you are all my witnesses. So I believe whatever we agree here, we are going to abide by it. And the issue of administrative management of the issue of no work, no pay, we can address it. And the issue of CBT, we can also take it up as soon as possible, because this is the issue that has almost blocked it. We wanted to go ahead with the job evaluation, before we come back to it. But if it is agreeable here, let us call off the strike. I think all of us have been well hit. I think we need to go back to work and see how we can face our jobs, and then try to sympathize with the general public and Nigerians in general as to providing the needed medical services that are required. Then we can come back and talk about the CPA and the other things that are required. I think I'm very happy to hear this progress and this development. I didn't know about it, and I'm also happy to note that all these two labor leaders are also aware of it. So I think what remains is for us is just to get the buy-in of the JOHESU and to today accept these positions so that we move forward and try to ensure that the CBA is commenced as soon as possible. And so also our Salaries and Wages Commission will fast track what they are doing to ensure that we conclude it, and we are going to use it as a basis for implementing the CBA. Like it is said, nobody is going to benefit from anything when this kind of population goes on strike. It's going to hit very hard on the sector, and you all know it. Most of our health institutions are almost 50% operating, and we're not supposed to go like this. So please, I want to use the opportunity to beg all of us to seriously as to why we should follow this strike and try to address the issues in so many other ways that we can, like we have been doing with the employers. I believe we mean what we say, and all of us are just reminded about these issues. We don't want anything to do with strike. I'm happy to hear that even the labor leaders are also against going on strike, because it doesn't take anybody anywhere. It doesn't take anybody anywhere. So please let us have an understanding that this is what we are going to take, and we are going to follow it and put it at the back of our minds. I hope the secretary is listening to me, and the president.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Okay. So this is, I think, where I don't know whether you want to keep this on.
You've said it all. I think you've said our minds. I just want to assure the leadership and to refresh part of what the secretary also mentioned, that the 2009 CBA birthed something. Since then, there have not been a CBA. Now we have a CBA ongoing. Adjustment, we would do that for the point that you made. The salary and the allowances, we can consider that in the context of CBA concluded. 2021 committee, the report that was submitted, we can review that as part of the CBA with the job evaluation that Salary Income and Wages Commission is doing. When you asked the chair of the Salary Income, you said he was the committee chair that did that high-level thing. He's not here. There were two options sent in the during the transition for when the cabinet would be formed. My understanding was that that report, the options that were sent to budget office, I don't know whether there was an explicit approval. There wasn't. Yes, so it has not been approved. So what I'm saying is, to implement what has not been approved and considered, we've already lost a lot of time. So since we have a CBA, the same instrument that you had to originate what you are now amending, we use it. But if you if we say we take this off and address it outside the CBA on the basis of what the CBA itself created, I think we have to try to be consistent and look at the overall national interest. We're here. Whatever we do, we hope that posterity will judge it to be at least a best effort. Just that we know that you will also do your best effort, so that posterity will judge all of us that we do what is in the interest of the country and interest of your membership and interest of Nigerians. So I just want to add my voice to what the Minister of Labor said, that this has gone far too long, and let's, even if it's war, you sit down and negotiate. And there was a path to us doing that. And we have at least expressed that commitment. We mentioned it in January, and now we are reiterating that. So that's all I will say. Over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I have a request from TUC President, but if you want to say something, elder statesman, I think I should give you the opportunity to do so. We are talking about peace here.
Yes.
We are talking about how to resolve these issues.
Thank you
very much.
I'd like to say this, and I think we keep drifting from that very fundamental. You know, when the TUC president spoke, he talked about a huge trust deficit and the need to dispense justice to all concerned. And I need to talk a little about that dimension of justice, because it might help us in this whole scenario. There are two major things you are not looking at here, sir. You keep saying JOHESU should go back to negotiate at sea. Now, on what template is JOHESU negotiating at sea?
you got information that there have been adjustments to comments 3 different times. Now that gives a huge cutting edge in terms of what people, beneficiaries of comments already enjoy relative to corners. So you cannot, it is difficult to be stampeded to go and negotiate under those terms. And let me explain this for a second. The technical reports that have been made reference to over and over was actually a report that was conducted under the auspices of this Federal Ministry of Health. It was the Honorable Minister of Health at that time, Dr. Sagio Nairi, who actually set up that committee. I do not think, sir, that it's altogether saying it the way she said, because I'm struggling to be very respectful because I must respect your offices. The truth is, and that's one of the areas of justice we're talking about, when you adjusted comments 3 times, there was no such reference or there was nothing like job evaluation. So it is very discriminatory to now subject persons who constitute, and we always say that, who constitute 85% of the value chain of the healthcare workforce, to go and subject themselves to the spirit of a job evaluation before they can enjoy the same thing their contemporaries have enjoyed since 2012. And I think these are the things we need. And this was clearly sabotaged. It is also not true, sir, to say that Connors was not approved. It was actually sabotaged by the Federal Ministry of Health. I think we should lay the cards here. In the very idea, it was sabotaged because it was the Federal Ministry of Health that brought this proposal of the job evaluation. And we are aware of these things. So, I think, sir, we also want progress. We are Nigerians. And nobody who is responsible will continue to enjoy this type of impasse that has pervaded for 83 or thereabout this. If we're going to fast track this, I would have come up with a submission. But since the president of TUC has already requested that we have a short break, I do not know whether those are the kind of things that will emanate, so I do not want to jump the gun. We would come, we can come based on what the labor centers agree, but the safeguards, because I will be very honest with you, members of the US do not trust the Federal Ministry. I do not. And I can look at the health minister, the coordinating minister, face to face and tell him that you have not done well with the generality of the health workforce. I've not had an opportunity to say this things to you, but I can say them now. I can softly say them. There are things that have happened in that ministry. And I said this to you before, Honorable Minister.
Please, let's
so what
address the issues as they are.
Yes, sir. So what I'm saying, sir, what I'm saying is that there have been fundamental distortions.
I take it that most of the time I have to bring you back on track when you are talking. I don't like the way you are.
No, sir. I've said there will be progress.
And each time you want to speak, I give you the opportunity to speak.
Yes, sir. That's why.
But when you come out to speak, you start meandering talking about issues that are not part of.
Because there are a few things we should say very well the way they should say.
Not everything you vomit out of your stomach.
I have not even vomited 10%.
No, you have.
No, it's my stomach. It's my stomach, sir. So I know that I have not. But I am saying we are amenable, we are positively disposed to making progress.
Thank you very much.
You must address these fundamental discussions. So that
we are here
to
address them, and that's why we're all here. What is the
Honorable Ministers, government, representatives from the various government institutions, directors, here present, President of NLC, represented by the Deputy President of NLC, and all the, we actually have two Deputy Presidents here. I didn't see my guy, National Chairman, JOHESU, and every one of us. Yes, we've actually looked at this issue critically, judging from the meeting we held about 3 weeks ago, and also looking at where we are today based on all the exchanges and all the conversations we have had. So we've brainstormed on it. Meanwhile, our focus when we're coming into this meeting was clearly, if you don't implement the 2021 technical committee report, we will continue with industrial action. But going outside, brainstorming and looking at the entire nation, we felt that, okay, let it not be that we are remaining in one position, since this issue commenced. So at this juncture, we would painfully so, we would yield a little bit to say, taking into cognizance what the Honorable Minister of Health and Coordinating Minister for Social Welfare said, that these issues bordering on cohorts, the shortchanging that we have cried about since 2009, those things will be discussed, in the context of this CBA. We painfully, as I said, we are looking at how to structure that in such a way that we would say, as we go into the CBA conversations, that issues that will take the 2009 agreement or CBA, we will look at all the shortcomings that have occurred since then. We will look at where the happenings within the industry, also taking into consideration the 2021 technical committee report. Then all these will be discussed with JOHESU alone. Then once these are not trashed, because the allowance that we want to talk about is the cohorts, the salary. Some of these allowances are dependent on salary. So we can't be talking about allowance where the salary has been, we've had almost like 15 years deficit without adjustment. So that discussion will be done with JOHESU alone. Look at all the issues that has occurred in the industry 2009, with that 2009 agreement, what are the shortcomings, 2021 technical committee report will be taken into consideration. We have those overall conversations before we now progress into allowances, that the TBA dictates. So it's actually in line with what the Honorable Minister has proposed, but at times when you are writing something, there is little difference in thought. So we've asked our secretariat to put some of these writings in place on what these demands are. I may not have captured it 100%, but this is the direction that we are looking at. So the secretariat will put something along this line in place because we also need to reassure our members that we are not showing away the 2021 report. Because if we just go without even mentioning it at all, it's going to be backlash. So we need to put all that into the communique that we are good. And we now also said that because the two labor centers, we are actually taking championing this now, and that we are actually taking, what language am I going to use? Yes, exactly. So we are taking responsibility on this particular subject on behalf of our members in there. And that if these things are not done, anything we agree here now, if they are not done and done with utmost good faith, for us, we will not be happy about that, because anything we are signing now, the two labor centers are going to be witness to it, and we are going to follow through to ensure that both parties implement these in utmost good faith. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Minister, Labour and Employment, Honorable Minister of Finance, Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Labour cycle, ladies and gentlemen. First is, I think that since this administration came into place, particularly in the health sector, I am not aware of any promise that were made to unions that were not kept. I am not aware of any. Even in the course of this discussion, we have tried as much as possible to follow through with everything that we promised each other. Starting from the issue of consultant cadre, that was very hot. We did not look at it with the eye of whether we are doctors or we are not. We looked at it with the eye of what is in the best interest of the system. And I think if we are to be said to have taken a side on that issue, we took the side of JOHESU. The issue of increment in retirement age, we follow through very, very, very vigorously and ensure that it's done, and so on and so forth. The issue of increment in allowances, we follow through. I believe that this particular one too is something that we can follow through, because what we really want is sustainable peace in the sector. We do not want peace that is truncated after just a short period. And we believe that it is approaching it in a new way, different from the old ways that have been used, that will help us. So I think that I have the mandate of all of us here to assure you that the government side will try to keep as much as possible the end of the bargain. Of course, we know that the resources are not limitless. The Coordinating Minister of Finance is here. And I was telling, I don't know whether it was that I told that it is not everything 100% that workers want that we can get. Even in the private sector, it's not possible for you to get everything that you want. But we will be reasonable to ensure that whatever it is done is within reason, within fairness, within justice. That is the new mantra of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, and I want you to trust us on that. We will try our best. It's also important to say, when we have these meetings like this, it is important for us to be circumspect in the language we use. It is very important, so that jolly friendship, that I called the TUC Secretary General, and I said, look, I thought you are a general. How can the general be the one handling gun in a coup? Because when we saw your letter, I considered it a coup. And I said, but I thought we were heading to a solution now. How can this one come out? But it was a jolly friendship kind of discussion. So I want us to imbibe that kind of spirit. At this level, we are at the leadership level. I would like to plead that we imbibe that kind of spirit, please. Thank you very much.
You are, to a very large extent, accepting what the president of TUC is putting on the table. Okay.
We just want to review his proposal.
Okay. No, I just want.
We are the one that is accepting his proposal. Trusting.
No, you made a suggestion. I want to hear from them whether they have accepted. Yes. Okay. Just for the moment, that's why I said.
I think it's better for us to be able.
No, I think he's speaking for you.
No, I think the Honourable Minister of State for Health has already spoken. You articulated what we had proposed in a way that is acceptable to us, and he is assuring you, the labor centers, and JOHESU that we will implement, stick by that agreement, and that there's a track record. So essentially I'm confirming what my colleague is saying, but he also, this is outside the agreement. I'm going to raise an issue which I think is important because you mentioned trust and the trust deficit. I think when we engage in these kinds of conversations, we come to it with mutual respect and decorum. Records and anticipation noted, I take serious exception to the way and manner one of the gentlemen on your delegation spoke. Not to me personally, I have nothing to do with it, but to the office. Because when we come here, we're sitting as officers representing institutions, whether previous ministers or former ministers or future ministers. And the way and manner that you speak reflects a lot. If you speak in an uncouth manner, it doesn't reflect good on you. Anyone can be uncouth in the way he communicates. Anyone. Anyone can fight. Anyone can use verbal language that is aggressive or physical, non-verbal language that is aggressive. Anybody can do that, even the most basic of humans. It takes strength and character to restrain himself. And that is how we've trained and restrained ourselves as leaders, and we have engaged in good faith all through this process from August until presently. Not once have we tried to act in ways that are different. So I want to put on record that I take exception as a minister in the way and manner the gentleman spoke. Not taking anything away from the commitment that we have to implement what we have agreed as a resolution coming out of this, because it is not about us as individuals, it's about the country and the responsibilities that you have to your members, and we also have to you as employees, but also to Nigerians overall. I just want to put that on record to this group. Thank you.
Just, having said this, I think let's see what you have in writing so that we look at it and see, so that we don't disperse and eventually end up with timeline. No, we have not used that. I'm going to use that one. Let's see the content of what you want to provide. Who is drafting it? The secretary?
We heard what you said. We were also, I mean, when we went outside, we also talked about it, in the heat of this moment at times, when pressure, when you are placed under immense pressure at times, we are human. We may say some things that were not supposed to be said. So we don't, please don't take it to heart. Just see it as, I can tell you, our comrades sitting here, the kind of pressure that they pass through, you will not understand. In fact, sometime last year, towards the end of last year, when we had some issues in Pengasan, I mean, my two closest ministers, two of them, Honorable Minister of Finance and Minister, we are very close. We've solved a lot of issues together. But the kind of pressure that was on me, on October 1st that night, I was even surprised the way I exploded, because naturally I tried to maintain decorum, but the pressure was enormous. That at times is a bit, so please don't take it to heart. Don't feel offended. Please, it's just pressure, and I know
the same person is the best friend of your Minister of State. So please, we are sorry if what we said was wrong. We apologize. And please, let's continuously work as families. Thank you so much. Thank you.
He always has some fire, most of the time. So I think the minister is just trying to put it on record, and I think it is there. So, and that's all. Yes. So I don't want to be arguing with them just here. I want us to go through what you are proposing. And sometimes they ask things that are not outside what you are doing. And I know them. Not to raise more than it. I think we have now almost concluded the deliberations. We have agreed on all the issues that have been raised. We are only waiting for the Secretariat to finalize the final draft that will be signed. We have requested all parties to nominate those who are going to sign on their behalf, and I think this has been done. So with the permission, we are going to close this meeting and allow Honorable Minister and all the distinguished personalities here who are not going to sign to take their leave. On this note, I want to thank everybody for this meeting, particularly the peaceful nature that it has been taken, and to wish each and every one of us a safe journey back to our respective places. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Where is the